So today I am going to give a demo lecture on C++. When I think of C++, the very first thing that comes into my mind is I++, or let's say X++. Where do we use this X++? Usually we have been using this plus plus in C language. So what is the purpose of plus plus? Plus plus will increment the particular number and it will advance to the next level. I mean to say, if I say I plus plus, that means the internal meaning of I plus plus is I is equal to I plus 1. So I will be incremented to next level. Similarly, when I am saying C++, C++ is the next level of C, which means so it also contains all the building blocks of C, and in addition to that, C++ has the variety of building blocks which are useful for object-oriented programming. There is another name for C++, it is called object-oriented programming. Just let's quickly recapture what we have been discussing in the C language. So C language basically we discussed about data types and variables and arrays and functions and pointers and structures, etc. Okay, so these are all also strings. So these are all building blocks for a C language. To write an efficient C language, we have been using all these functions, all these features in C language. So now we are going to look into C++ and try to understand what are the building blocks in C++. So number one, and at the same time we will also discuss what are the drawbacks of C language that led to invention of C++. Because this is very important to understand. When somebody invented C++, there could be definitely a purpose. The person who invented C++ would have faced some challenges or some difficulties in C language. That's why he went ahead and invented C++. By the way, the inventor of C++ is Strauss. So he invented C++ in AT&T Bell Labs. Let's see what are the drawbacks of C. Let me write a simple program here. So main, this is the main function, and I have function 1 here, and I have function 2 here, and function 3 here. So I can call these 3 functions in main function, f1, f2 and f3. Let us say if I declare a global variable here, int x. Okay, so when I define a global variable x, let's say if I modify global variable x here, that means the x has been already modified by function f1, and let's say the x is also modified by function f3. That means two functions f1 and f3 are simultaneously trying to modify the variable x, which is defined as global, right? So assuming x as an important variable which is which needs to be used across the multiple functions, and if these functions simultaneously change the variable x, then the security will be very difficult to maintain. That means maintaining the value of x and keeping the consistency of the modification across different functions is very difficult. If x is modifying, if f1 is modifying x at the same time f3 is modifying, then it is very difficult to keep track of who is modifying and what is the current value of x. So programming would also be difficult, and at the same time keeping, let's say if there is some bug in this particular code, it is very difficult to debug this code because the data is not secure and the data is scattered across different functions. So it is very difficult to keep track of value x, and this code is not secured. Okay, so the number one drawback of C is security. Let's see a sample program in C++ and try to understand what is the advantage of C++ and what are the building blocks of C++. Let me write a simple program here. So let me first give a basic syntax of defining a class in C++ and then I will write the sample program. So the syntax of class in C++ is class, it should start with class and then class name. So it can be any name, and inside the class there should be some data members and methods. Methods are functions. Okay, so this is the basic syntax of a class in C++. Okay, so another thing that we need to discuss in C++ is access specifiers. Access specifier are basically of three types: public, private and protected. So these three are very important in class, and also these three are the building blocks for C++. So the public, private and protected. So public means the data members and methods, if I define them as public, then they can be accessible anywhere in the program. I mean to say anywhere outside the class also. Let's say if I define another class here, this is class 2. So I defined a variable called P. Okay, then can I access P here? Yes, I can, because it is a public, and I can access the data members and methods outside the class also. Okay, private. The meaning of private is it is visible only to this particular class. You cannot access the data members and methods which are defined as private outside the class. Okay, so if I define a function f1 as a private, then I cannot access this f1 here. Okay, accessing f1 is not possible here. Okay, so that is the meaning of private. Protected. So the meaning of protected means, let's first understand public and private. Public is you can access outside the class. Private means access only within the class. Protected means the methods and data members can be accessed within the class, and plus in addition to it, a class which is inherited from the base class. I mean to say, let's say I have defined class 1 and I have class 3. Class 3 is inherited from class 1. Okay, so I will talk about inheritance later. So class 3 is inherited from class 1. Okay, this belongs to class 1. So now if we define a function x here, so x can be accessed in C1 and C3 only. C1 is its own class and C3 is its derived class. Okay, so these three are called access specifiers in C++, and they will define the visibility of data members and methods in a class. Okay, so now the biggest advantage or one of the greatest feature in C++, that is called encapsulation. So just now we discussed about the drawbacks of C language, where the security was the concern, and now that can be overcome by using encapsulation. What is encapsulation? There are 2 points for encapsulation. Number 1, expose only necessary features. Okay, expose only necessary features. Second one, hide unnecessary things. Hide unnecessary things. Okay, so it has two things. One is expose only which are required. Second is hide which are not required or which you don't want to expose. Okay, so that can be achieved using the access specified in C++. So that is the major advantage in C++. Okay, so how it can be achieved? Let's say, as I just described, if I define function x and I don't want to expose function x to the other classes and I want to expose only to the class which is derived from my class, then I can define that function as a protected. And I have a data member and I don't want to expose, or I don't want other classes to access it, then I will define it as a private. Okay, and I have a variable which I want to expose throughout the program, so I will define it as a public. So the visibility will eventually achieve the feature of encapsulation in C++.